Guys, just Tim from TJP Auto. Today we're going to be talking about towing with the 2022 Ram 1500, so the Express and the DT. We're going to be talking about the Ram Australia converted ones, not the other ones that do conversions and bits and pieces. So this all comes from myself. I'm just looking for a vehicle that tow 4 tonne and going across the weights and what to do it and what wouldn't. So obviously at the moment in Australia, caravan is a big thing, and the vans are getting bigger and they're getting heavier. 3.5 tonne towing capacities, as we know, on a lot of vehicles aren't the case, and you can't tow 3.5 tonne with those vehicles. And a lot of vans now are coming out with 3.6, 3.8, 4 tonne ATMs. So we're going to work off today on the Rams. Now they say the Rams can tow at a 4.5 tonne towing capacity. It's not possible to tow 4.5 tonne with a Ram. It's not possible. And I'll show you why. So the Ram 1500 series in Australia comes out in 4 levels, and we've got all 4 levels written up there today for you. Now, the weights are all slightly different, and I'll start off with the curb weight. Now, Ram Australia say the curb weight includes a full tank of fuel. So no passengers, but a full tank of fuel. So all that's in the car is a full tank of fuel. As it rolls off the showroom floor, you pick it up, drive it away, and get in and put weight. Now, they all have different option levels. They've all got different weights. Now, the Ram series of utes are all coil sprung rear end, which does make a bit of a difference. As you can see, the Express weighs in at 2,620 kilos, the Warlock 10 kilos more, the Laramie a few kilos more, and the Limited's the heaviest of the series. Now, when I was looking at a vehicle to tow 4 tonne, I looked at all these, and when you look at the option list, the Limited is probably the one that's set up the most for towing. It's got factory air suspension in it. Great for towing, especially on a coil sprung vehicle. But the problem with the Limited is it's a lot heavier than the others and has a less payload. We'll get into that. So we'll start off with the Express. So the Ram Express has a payload of 830 kilos. As we always say, yeah, sounds good, 830 kilos, that's plenty. But remember, you have to add your passengers and your caravan or tow bar ball weight, and that also has a leverage action because your axle's not at the end where the ball is, so the weight actually goes up a bit more than that. We're not going to go into axle load ratings because it just opens up a whole other kettle of fish and gets people even more confused. But we're going to go and say, what can the Express tow with a reasonable payload? Now we're going to call a reasonable payload, and it's probably not a reasonable enough. We're going to call a reasonable payload 350 kilos. So that's allowing for 2 adults, 2 kids, and a fair bit of gear. So by the time we put the van in the back with a 4 tank of fuel, we want to have at least 350 kilos of payload left, at least. Now, you've got to add the leverage from the van, and I just want to quickly go into how that works in a second. So when you have your vehicle, there's your car, there's your van, and there's your tow ball. Now, if you've got a ball weight of say 400 kilos, because your axle's not exactly where the ball is, actually it's a pretty bad drawing of it. Because your axle's forward of that, the law of leverage says there's actually more load on the axle. We're not going to go into doing all that sort of stuff because it just, once again, complicates it. But we're going to work off 3.5 tonne, 4 tonne, 4.5 tonne. So the Ram Express of those weights. Now the Ram Express's GVM max load is 3,450 and the GCM is 7,237. Now, I'll just change to a black tank. Now, if you take that from that, you're left with 3,787. 3,787 kilos at GVM, including the ball weight, is the maximum an Express can tow at GVM. Now, at GVM is what we're going to go off because ideally, you want to have the ability to be able to go to that GVM. There's no point of having a GVM of 3.45 tonne if you don't have the ability to go to that. So, realistically, with the ball weight, a Ram Express could tow 3.8, 4 tonne maximum. Maximum. Could tow 3.5 with the ball weight, you still left about 450 kilos. And you could push it up to 4 tonne, but there's no way in hell you can tow 4.5 tonne with an Express. No way, just not possible, not going to happen. And it's the same for the Warlock. You've still only got that 3,787 between the two. There's a few little differences in the weights there, but off from the GVM to the GCM, you've still only got that. So you can only get about another 10 kilos in it. So once again, 3.5, 3.8 tonne, you're probably okay. 4 tonne, yeah, you can do it. 4.5, no hope in hell. Laramie. Now, this is where it gets interesting because the Laramie and the Limited have a higher GCM. So that changes the numbers a bit there. Do the basic, what can it tow? Taking at GVM, the vehicle can tow 4.263 tonne. At GVM, remember this is a GVM. And at GVM being including the ball weight. So, to complicate it, can it tow 4.5 tonne? At GVM, no. No. Could it tow 4.5 tonne at all? So what we're going to come up with on that is we're going to take 450 kilos, 10% ball weight, from 779. So we're left with a 329 kilo payload. On the vehicle. At GVM, 4.5 tonne. That's the kicker. So ideally, once again, both these vehicles can realistically only tow around 3.84 tonne. Because you'll take the ball weight off it and work out payload figures. So if you're looking at something with a 4.5 tonne capacity to tow 4.5 tonne, rule these out. Not going to happen. You're not going to do it. You're not going to tow 4.5 tonne of these vehicles. Unless you want to go spend nearly $10,000 on GVM upgrades, etc., etc. You're already paying $140,000 plus for these two trucks. These are the closest ones that will do it. And if you want to tow up to 4 tonne, yes, they will tow 4 tonne, realistically. 3.5, 3.8, 3.5, 3.8, these vehicles will be fine to tow. Once you get over that 3.8 tonne mark, they can't do it. You're going to be starting to look at Ram 2500s, Silverado 2500s, etc. So yeah, in my opinion, the limit for the Ram series of trucks for towing is around the 3.8 tonne mark. They can tow 4 tonne in these, but you can't put nothing in. If you're going to put canopy drawers, anything in the back, you're screwed. You've got no way. No hope at all. So you really, if you're looking to tow with, say, an American truck, and you're looking to tow that 4.5 tonne, 4 tonne, you really want at least 1,000 kilos of payload, realistically. So can the Ram 1500 tow 4.5 tonne? No, it can't. It can tow 3.5 to 4 tonne, and 3.8 probably being the good area. And there's a lot of people out there the problem of having a 3.5 tonne van and they've bought a Land Cruiser or a Patrol or something like that, and their weights are all out of whack and they can't tow it. Good option for that. For the 3.5 to 3.8 tonne van, they're a good option. If you want to tow 4.5 tonne, and this is what I personally found, I wanted to be able to tow my van, which is 4 tonne and have plenty of payload. And I didn't want to go up to the size of a 2500 series truck. You need to do a lot of research. What I actually found, and I ended up buying, was a 2022, my 22 F-150. Now, because these vehicles are independently imported, most of them are converted for a few companies, and I'll run you through the vehicle a bit later. Because these vehicles are independently imported, the GCMs, GVMs, all vary depending on what option, diff and stuff they've got in them. So you've got to really look, when you look at buying these F trucks, what diff option they've got, payloads and all that sort of thing, because they do vary a lot. And of course, there's the 2023 F-150 coming into Australia in the V6 option, but we don't know what the payloads and that are going to be. So in the end, Ram can't tow 4.5 tonne. You can tow 3.5 to 3.8, even 4 tonne, but that's it. That's your limit. 4 tonnes pushing it. You're really looking at that 3.5 to 3.8 tonne maximum towing capacity with a Ram. Thanks, guys.